I am here, and today we're going to talk about the basics of starting a dental office from scratch, some of the steps that you should definitely follow and not miss, and mistakes that you can avoid. So I hope that this video comes in handy for any associate dentist that is thinking about taking the risk of starting their own practices and really wants to ensure that they do it the right way and they follow the right steps. And my hope is to empower you as a new first time practice owner to really take control of the entire process of starting, launching a practice, and operating it successfully. So, what I am going to start off with is I put together a while ago this ultimate guide to starting your first dental practice, and I have it out there for anyone that wants to get a copy of it. But I put it together because I understand that there are a lot of dentists who are working for someone else, either DSO or private practice, and they're really looking forward to the opportunity, and they have this hope of one day owning their own practice. I've been there, and I decided to quit my associate my position as a regional manager precisely because I noticed a lot of the associate dentists that were part of the group I worked for were parents that were starting their families, wanted to have control of having their own destiny, their own legacy, doing services and things under their own terms, and it was just very difficult for them to do it working for somebody else. But once they took made the decision to start their own practices, it is common for people to think, do I do this by myself or do I hire someone to help me through this process? It has become more and more common for people to decide to hire a consultant. And although I feel that there is a lot of benefit to hiring a consultant, I also feel that there are a lot of consulting companies that are really focusing on one aspect of the process that is not necessarily where you have the best return on investment as a business owner. I was having a conversation yesterday with a lending partner, and they said, Maritza, it's so funny that we're having this conversation because we were exchanging information about how to evaluate practices and our process, and they were really saying, like the work that you do and how you help dentists is so different than what we're used to as far as the consultants that we are accustomed to. And we feel that there is no need for a consultant in certain instances because the help that they are provided with, the doctors, is information that is readily accessible for them for free. And we feel that there is really no benefit to having a consultant. But seeing and knowing the results and the things that you do and how involved you are in your team with your clients, it totally makes sense. So for those of you who are thinking, hey, I'm working in a dental office where I'm not happy, I know that practice ownership is in my future, whether you decide to hire a consultant or not, I really hope that the resources and the information that you're able to find here, and by all means, feel free to reach out to me all the time, that you let me see, it says here, let me double check, it says that I'm experiencing some issues here. If you're able to join me and hear me okay, just let me know in the comments as you do, because I need to test and ensure that things are working. Let me just see here as I go through this. Okay, hold on one second, let me just ensure that this is working. Facebook, I just want to see that I'm doing things the right way. Okay, so going through the information that I wanted to share with you today, right? You're working and you make this decision. I want to ensure that you're not taken advantage of or that you're underserved with the work that you need to see and the process that you need to follow. So I had a conversation last week with a dentist who is currently working with someone, or I had this experience before where the doctor is working with a consultant and they reach out and they said, well, I'm not getting help with this, I'm not getting help with that. And I'm really skeptical about how the process is being handled in certain important aspects of the business, because all that I feel that I'm getting is, directives as to get the financing in place, which is great, it's important. Then work with the broker to handle this situation. Again, it's great, it's important. And then all of the other decisions about negotiating with vendors and maybe perhaps ensuring that my reimbursement is best optimized and positioned. That's something that I feel a little bit left out on. And so I wanted to share with you guys some of the steps that we follow, so that you can understand how to properly set the foundation for your business and your practice as a first-time business owner. So I am excited to share with anyone that wants to get a copy of the Ultimate Dental Startup Guide. And I have some other resources and tools that I want to share with you. But starting your own practice it's a big deal, and it's exciting, but there's a lot of anticipation. There are a lot of moving parts, and you want to make sure that you do this right? And so the very first step, or the very first thing that is going to be important for you, is determining where to select your practice, right? How do I choose the location? What's important for me, for my vision, for the people that I want to serve? That is extremely important for you to do. And getting a list of locations that are available, or running a demographic report for just the patient to doctor ratio, it's great. But ultimately, you want to be able to compare and select a smart location. Next week, Tuesday, I'm going to be having a webinar, which I invite any one of you that are thinking about opening your practice, so that we're going to go through the process of selecting a smart location and understanding how to properly negotiate the business terms of your lease, so that you're not in a position where I recently heard of this story where a dentist that did a startup in a particular building, the whole building is being sold, and now the location where this dentist built their practice is now under like a bunch of back and forth with attorneys, because there was a clause and the person was not protected within the lease. And those are really important aspects of getting started with your first dental practice. That is extremely important. So the very first step for you is understanding that if you decide to start your own practice, the basics is you want to build a strong foundation, and that means financially for you, preparing yourself financially. So the very first step is understanding how much practice you can afford, and going through the process of your vision and developing that vision, right? Because you would never build a house without a blueprint. You never go on a cross-county trip without a guide or without a map to guide you through this process, right? And so, but a lot of dentists actually do try to start a practice with first getting clear of what their vision is for them and for their practice, and you decide to reach out to a broker or someone, and they're going to throw out tons of opportunities your way. But if you're not anchored and you are not clear on what you want and how you want things to be done, then it's going to get cluttered. So what are some of the the questions that you should be asking yourself if this is you? You want to ask your questions such as, like, why do I want to start my own practice? And why do I want to own a practice? It cannot just be the numbers. It has to be something that pulls you and pushes you, because starting a business is very, very, very stressful. I can tell you from my personal experience and from observation with the doctors that I work with. You want to be able to narrow all of that down to be able to make sure that you keep yourself anchored, right? So another thing that is going to be extremely important, another basics of starting your practice, is building a business plan. And through building a business plan, you're going to want to understand demographically, where are your ideal patients, and what services are you going to be providing to them that are going to be helpful to you. I'm going to share seed, because I had a whole thing to present to you, and I wasn't able to do it the way that I wanted. But one of the things that I want to do is share with you what we do as far as like how to look at the let me see if I'm able to share my screen here. Let me see, expand on video. Let me see, pause view. Let me double check. Where do I share my screen? Hold on one second. Settings. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to share my screen, but I'm going to pull up let me double check settings dashboard. Let me look at the dashboard and see what we have. Oh, this technology gets the best of me every single time. There's not one boring day. I had the page open before for the demographic analysis breakdown so that I can walk you through it, and it seems that it's acting up on me now. However, let me just briefly look at it. I know that you guys are going to just I'm happy to share this analysis comparison. So what are some of the things to look at? One of the things that we do is break down a number of zip codes or areas for our clients to be able to determine, the different towns, the population from different platforms or different softwares, the average age in that particular population, the growth within, for the 5 years, the income, the medical expenses, disposable income for the people, how much of this area is house occupied so that we know that people are not transitioning in and out of the neighborhood, number of providers in the area, and so on and so forth. The saturation obviously is very important, but you want to be able to map all of this out and not only look at the reports, but retrieve the data from the reports and plug it into your own, Excel sheet or centralized comparison template so that you can cross match and look at the different options and do feasibility assessment between locations. That's going to be extremely powerful and important for you to be able to keep yourself grounded and into that vision that you want for yourself to select a smart location, right? And by developing a business plan, going through this feasibility assessment between locations is going to definitely help you a lot. Looking into the employers for the area, that way you can narrow down, the number of the business model, right? Like, what if you had the guidance and the support to go through all of this and you don't have to do it by yourself? That's going to be extremely important. Being able to, have someone guide you through developing a business plan, your mission statement, helping, what if you had guidance on putting together the demographics for all of the different patients, marketing and sales goals, and helping you map out the services that you're going to be doing all of this. Like, dental schools don't necessarily teach you this. And if you're doing this by yourself, I totally encourage you to reach out, and I'm happy to put some resources at your disposal. And if you want the guidance and the support of my team and myself so that we can go through this journey together, by all means, we're accepting new clients. We want to be able to go through this journey with you together and do it the right way, right? Like, our goal is to help you get the funding that you need, find a smart location, manage your spending through the process of the build out, work with the best team of advisors, which is the third step through this process, is putting a team of advisors that is going to be there looking after you. I had a conversation recently with a dentist who was telling me that someone was upset about the fact that she brought in a contractor that was recommended by a friend or a peer, that was, because the ones that were recommended by the consulting firm were, red flagged by a lot of colleagues and so on and so forth. And then there's a lot of, I should say, incentives and referrals and things like that go behind the scenes that sometimes incentivize certain consulting groups into working with one particular vendor and not giving you or allowing you to have options. And I think that that's a disservice to you. And to that extent, you want to work with someone that is willing to represent you and put you first, besides any of their incentives or referral kickbacks and things like that. So, it's something in our industry that bothers me, and that I try to stay away from and not entertain, because you want to have options and you want to have someone that is going to go there and do that for you. So the following step that is going to be important as far as the basics of finding your location is understanding the operations, right? Like, you want to be able to narrow down the options of the locations to select your smart practice. But this is where the important piece of the project begins. Once you've selected the team of advisors, you have your budget, everything is being centralized, you have the lending, you have all the analytics and the demographic studies, the market research, competitive research done with you and for you to be able to decide which is the best location for you to set shop. You got to work with the trusted advisors that are going to make sure that you are keeping track of your spending, because the more you spend up front, the higher is going to be the cost of you running your practice. And so centralizing, creating a budget, if you are able to do that on your own, definitely I encourage you to do that. If you don't have, if you're, if there are a lot of resources and people out there, I'm happy to share some of those resources with you. We help our clients put together that budget, keep track of it, so that you're not overspending on the walls and the build out of the practice and on unnecessary equipment or things that you can save money on, so that you can prepare yourself for the important piece of the basics of starting a practice, which is extremely important: positioning your services and your fees and doing the marketing and putting a solid team together, the operational development of the practice, which is a lot more important than the chandeliers, the equipment, and all of the things that you do throughout the build out phase, which I feel that for us as first time business owners and doing startups specifically from scratch, we feel that the whole construction world and purchasing equipment and managing a team, that is, the biggest and most important part of it. And we tend to lose sight of the long-term commitment to us in this space, and the community and the team that we're going to put together, and the cost of us doing this. And so one of the basics of you starting a practice from scratch that is successful is by setting up operations, following a proven process and framework that has worked for other doctors, and not just taking the advice from vendors and from people that have not necessarily worked in a dental office. That has been my experience, only because I know that the contractors and the people from the finance world, they have your best interest at heart, don't get me wrong, but they don't understand the dynamics and the intangibles of running a dental practice and being there and dealing with the patients and dealing with the insurance companies. And again, it hurts me to the core when I am speaking to a dentist a year and a half into their office being open, and their overhead, because they overspend throughout the build-up process, exceeds their collections because they underpositioned their fees, they trusted the wrong people, they didn't have enough working capital, and their office is like a revolving door with people coming in. And the guidance of the support that they had was limited to building the walls and getting the keys to the practice, which is important, but it's just the very first step. I always use the analogy: you can have a beautiful house and a horrible home, and unhappy, unhealthy, family. And so what I want to sort of bring awareness about and the breakthrough is, stop focusing on getting the help that you want for the initial stages, because that is information that is readily accessible to you, and I am happy to provide that information to you. You're looking for for a broker in any state in the country, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you that information for free. You want lending and you want to get someone to help you with financing, I can give you that information for free. You want to work with someone for like a contractor for anything to get a quote, I can get you that information for free. And someone just joined me. Thank you. I'll be right out. Let me finish my live. As you can see, kids are off from school this week, and I forgot to tell her watch a movie while I'm doing this live. Um, and so all this information you can get for free. You can access this information for free. What you cannot get for free and what you'll be paying for a good, solid, sustainable, substance driven consulting firm or person is the intangibles, building your business and your practice. And the approach should not be, let me handle this for you. The approach should be, let's do this way because it has worked in the past, and this is a proven framework that has worked, and learn it so that you can be empowered as a first-time business owner, just like you went to dental school. Treat it the same way, where you had to learn clinically how to do certain things. Your startup business should be your MBA in business, and you shouldn't outsource the responsibility of the outcome to the vendors that you're working with, but instead put together the systems and the resources and the information that you need and the knowledge that you need to lead the project and be a part of that journey, and empower yourself to have the control to manage and protect your liability. Because at the end of the day, although the banks love you, the commercial spaces love you as a tenant, you want to protect the cost of starting your practice, right? And you want to ensure that once you open your office for business, that your team that you are promising that is gonna grow with you, that you're able to fulfill that promise for them, because you're building and you have a solid foundation for your practice. Say hello, Dalia.
Hi.
Since you're here, and close the door on your way back, okay? To a certain degree, I'm glad that I wasn't able to figure out how to go live on the other platforms, because there's some change there, and I waited the last minute to figure that one out. But thank you so much for those of you who take the time to watch my live today. Again, make your house a home that is sustainable for you, for your future, for the legacy that you want to leave for your practice. Understand and manage your numbers pre-opening and post-opening. Next week, we're going to be talking about lease negotiations and how to make sure that you're paying the right amount of rent for the space, that you're protecting yourself for the space as you're building your practice, because that all becomes part of your pre-opening or your startup budget and your operational budget. Once I figure out, hopefully within the next week or so, I will try to figure out what happened with the changes with the StreamYard streaming with Facebook groups. I think that they made a change as of April 22nd that I missed, and so I wasn't able to share my slides or stream this from that platform that I'm a little more familiar with. So my apologies for that, but I still wanted to show up, say hello, let you guys know that I'm just an email or a message away, that we are definitely taking new clients and hoping to serve some of you who are in your journey of starting your very first dental practice and are willing to get the service and support where there is emphasizing in the operational development of your practice rather than the build out and all of those things. Because again, these are resources that I am happy to provide to you at no cost. This is information that bankers and even your your equipment reps are able to guide you and connect you with certain people. But where you are going to get the return on investment is on how you set up your operations, how you optimize your reimbursement, how you do the hiring process, the onboarding process, the orientation process, how you manage the patient experience, how you train yourself and your staff based on the business model, and all of the decisions in between that are going to ensure that you have a harmonious, driven home, which is a profitable dental practice. For those of you who are watching the replay, let me know where you're watching from, and thank you again for being part of my group. And I look forward to staying in touch with you, answering your questions and addressing your concerns as you're starting and growing your first dental practice. Thank you so much for being here today. Until next time.